Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth and I run the blog lifefromtheviolasection.com, where I share my favorite practice tips, general advice, and tech for musicians. I'm back with another tech video. I'm super excited about it because an app that I use on my phone and my iPad, Tonal Energy, has made their own desktop version, and it has a couple different sort of functions to it that I wanted to share today. It is overall pretty similar to the app version, so if you use just the app on a phone or a tablet, this video may be helpful just to really help you understand the different functions within the app, but it's also really a deep dive into the new desktop version and what is specific to that. So let's just dive right into the app. So this is what Tonal Energy looks like when you open it up for the first time in a day. You can change it so that you see this page every launch, once a day, once a week, or never, but I have it set to once a day. So it shows you your practice streak, how many days you've been using this app in a row. So if you use it every time you practice, then it is a fun way to keep track of practice streaks, but there's no way to really see when your practice streaks were, like in another app that I've used on Dante Practice Journal. That one shows you like graphs and things of when you were practicing and streaks and all that. And then it also shows you your best, so the highest number of days that you've practiced at once without stopping. And then there's a button to share with friends, and it just exports it as a picture. So you can tap on the smiley face and it'll take you right into the app. It puts you in whatever tab you had open before. So this is the screen that greets you if it is your second time opening Tonal Energy for the day, or if you just don't have that home screen set up. So it puts you right on the tuner page. And the tuner can work in a couple different ways. So you can use the target tuner, which is this circle that shows you too high or too low. Sorry, when I put my voice lower, it went higher out of tune. When I put my voice higher, it went lower out of tune, which was just kind of odd. And then it shows you how well you're doing. The other way is with a string tuner, so it shows you the strings. And I have this set up for viola, so you can change the sounds that are played. You can kind of press on a string, and it will play the MIDI of what the tuning sounds like in everything that you have selected, which we'll get to in a minute. So you can change the instrument itself to whatever you play. There are lots of different options, including just sound waves and MIDI. And then also you can choose the different string tunings that you want. I don't think this really applies to winds or brass or piano or anything, but it's very helpful for strings at least. So there are different ways that you can kind of modify how selective this tuner is. The first one is choosing the mode, which type of instrument you play, wind, strings, or voice. And then you can kind of tune the in-tune range. So wide tuning means that it's not going to be quite as selective. Medium means that it'll tune you within a range of 5 cents either way. Fine is a little bit closer, 2 cents, and ultrafine is 1 cent. I have that on ultrafine so that I can get my tuning very, very, very close as I can get it. And then damping changes kind of the average pitches. If you're playing something kind of plucked and the sound kind of doesn't last for a while, then you can choose fast so that it like immediately identifies everything. Normal is kind of just the default. It says it's good for guitar, bass, and other plucked string instruments. And then slow is the best for bowed string instruments. So it averages pitches over a longer time span so that it's not like as you play. It kind of gets what is the average tone of all of these sounds that can be created when you're bowing with an instrument, because sometimes the pitch sounds a little weird right when you start the bow stroke and then it gets into it like half a second later. So that is really helpful for strings. So I'll tune a little bit and just show you what this looks like. So this is still on the string tuner. Now I will show you the target tuner with the circle. This is what I personally use. So this target tuner shows you the green smiley face when you're in tune, and the purple kind of thinking face when it's just kind of not right for a long period of time. And that green smiley face is kind of the logo of tonal energy. It's like why a lot of people will use it with students, because it's fun to see a smiley face. It can get young students a little bit more excited to tune. So this is personally what I like to use. It tells me a lot more information, and I don't need to see all the strings because I know exactly what they are. So this is just what I'm used to using. In addition to switching the two types of tuners down here, you can also just press on this. This will take you to the string version, and this will take you to the target version. So you're clicking on the logo of what you want. It's a little weird to use, but you can slide from the right, click and drag, to get the sound levels. So we'll get to that later when it actually makes sounds itself. Now up in the top left-hand corner, you can change the tuning temperament. So I have it set on equal temperament because that's easiest when you're just tuning your strings, and not so much if you're tuning a passage in general. So when I'm playing music, like a passage of music, I usually play in just intonation, which is more like harmonic based, and it sounds nicer in a melodic phrase than equal temperament. So if you want to learn more about temperament, I highly suggest looking up like a good YouTube video done by like a music theory kind of person, because they will explain it much better and more in depth than I can right now. But just intonation is when you maybe like play your leading tone a little bit higher right before the tonic, because it sounds really good like just leading into it. Equal temperament means that notes are going to be the correct distance from each other, but when you play them against each other, if you play them in chords, it might sound a little bit out of tune. So it's a weird kind of phenomenon, but you can change the temperament based on how you want to tune. So I say if you're just tuning your strings like at the beginning of your practice session, and that's it, that's all you have to do, I would keep it on equal. But if you're tuning passages and you really, really want to see each and every single note, then maybe experiment with the just/pure, and then you can change what key it's in. So you can do D, F, G, any of the notes, and you can always change your concert A pitch right here. I used to tune to 441 in college. Now that I teach all the time, I started tuning to 440 again because my students were getting really confused as to why my A sounded slightly different from theirs, and like my tuning was a little sharp in general. They're like, this sounds so weird. And so I just went back to 440. It's easy. So many people tune to that. It's just very normal. So I'm gonna put this back to how I had it on equal temperament. You can also use a metronome right here from the tuning page so that you can tune while you're playing with the metronome. So here's the metronome. Have it kind of loud right now. And then you can keep on tuning. You can see that the wheel still works, and it's just doing exactly what it needs. If you want to check your tuning while you're practicing with a metronome, this is a great way to do it. I think that's a good overview for the tuner. So let's go over to sound. This is basically a way to just play drones for yourself. So I'll play D first. Oh, sorry. If you just click it, it's like pressing a piano key. It just dies right away. So if you want to press and hold, that'll stay. You can also add vibrato to it. Wow. And you can click and drag along the wheel to make kind of a chromatic scale. I like how it went through the octaves too. So if you go down, it does the same thing. All right. Okay, so you can change the sounds here as well. So you can make it into really just a drone, a pure drone. And that's a great way to practice. If you're doing a scale, you can leave it on the tonic note and make sure that all of your notes are in tune compared to that one. That's just a good way to practice with drones, I'm sure. If you want to start practicing with drones, I'm sure there are so many tutorials out there, and you can always just ask a teacher what exactly you should do. So if you play an instrument that transposes, you can choose your instrument, or you can choose the exact transposition that you want. And again, you can change the concert A hertz tuning there. You can also do the same kind of thing on a pitch grid. Oh, sorry, those are really high. Let's go to lower ones. So I'm just clicking and dragging to get all of these to sound. Otherwise, if you just click, it's like little staccato notes. If you press on the sus button, it means sustain. So I just clicked and it's still going. You can also have more than one note going at once. Sorry about that. And if you unclick that, again, it just releases the note. And again, you can change the mode for the tuning and all of that. And you can change the sound here as well. Then the last way that you can use the sound feature is with the keyboard, and it works a very similar way. So within all of this, I'm going to go back to the pitch grid. Within all of this, you can create exercises for yourself, which I think is super helpful. So you will just click, or if you're on a phone or tablet app, you can just tap this button with the notes and the staff and the pencil, and you can create kind of an exercise that will play for you. So you can do a scale, intervals, different kinds of things. So let's put it on a scale, and this is helpful if you're like struggling with 3-octave scales. You can put this on, you can hear it, you can play along with it. So it starts with the tempo at 120, but you can change that just by typing it in. You can change what type of note value is playing, or like each note is going to be. And then you can click the start button just to start it. If you want to count in, you can press this, and if you want a metronome to be going at the same time, just press that.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So scale with a count in and a metronome. You can press this to loop it, and we already talked about this. This is the note value, and you can also save exercises and pull up old ones. You can do all of these things in the traditional app as well. This is not just subject to the desktop version. Next is analysis, and this analyzes your tuning in real time. So I guess I'll play a scale or something to show this, but you can see with my talking, it shows me what pitches I'm talking at, which is really weird, and if they're in tune or not. But let's get out my viola and I'll show you. That's a good way to feel really, really self-conscious about your tuning. So it's, again, I have it on ultra fine, so it's gonna be the most piggy right here. Let's go slowly and see if I can get each note in tune. There we go, okay. Very picky, so if your finger even just barely moves, or if your bow changes and makes it a little bit heavier, it really changes it. But that's because I have it on ultra fine. If you don't want it to be that in depth, you can change it to a wide range, and let's see how that changes my tuning, or how it judges it. Okay. Okay, it was made my tuning seem a little better, I guess. A very good way to get very self-conscious about how well you play in tune. Maybe I should do some more practice like this. I'm gonna put it back on ultra fine, just because I don't want to forget to change it back later. And again, from here, you can put on the metronome, and you can change the temperament as well. Okay, up next is the metronome, which is one of the biggest features that I use on Tonal Energy. So I usually use the advanced metronome, and there are a lot of functions on it, but let's just start with the simple metronome because it's simple. So right now the little guy is sleeping because the metronome is not turned on, but all of these dots will give you different visuals for your metronome. So here's just the one that it's set on. I think it's the default, even though it's the third one. Nice visual there. Here's a flashing one. I guess this, oh, there we go. These head turns, so even further. I like this one a lot, it's fun. This reminds me of like the DVD menu where it never touches the corner, except this one does touch the corner, so it's really satisfying. Here's another one, more of a traditional metronome kind of visual. one's pretty cool too. Foot tapping, clapping. You can set a timer here. This one is not visual, but it's helpful. And this one is a tuner. So as I talk, you can see that it changes pitches. So it's very helpful that on almost any screen, you can tune and use a metronome at the same time. You can adjust the speed of the metronome. Here, let me go back to, oh, I like that one, okay. Here you can change how fast or slow the metronome is. You can also just enter the numbers. You can type them. Here, we'll put it on 87. Or here you can tap. And it can even go between beats. I don't know how helpful that is in practice or in theory, but there it is if you ever need it. You can also adjust how loud it is. So if your metronome is a little too loud, you can adjust this even lower. And this is not your system volume. This is just the sound that the metronome puts out. Or you can put it all the way up like I do so that it can be as loud as possible. You can also change between many, many different sounds in here. You can have a voice talk to you. You can change different kind of terminologies, how loud the voice is, what gender the voice is. You can change if there's an accent. And then there are other options right here. I'll just let you look at those. So there's a lot of different functions that you can use in this metronome, even though it's the basic one. Up here are actually the most kind of common things you may use. So this will take you to the advanced metronome, which we will go to in just a couple seconds. Here you can change the subdivision. This lets you do some fancier things. And then this one will give you a 1, 2, 3, 4 count in, or however many beats are in the measure. So if you click this button, it will take you to the advanced metronome. You can also get there by clicking here and choosing whichever one you want. So this is the one that I use because it's, I don't know, I guess it's the most similar to what I'm used to looking at in other apps and just the way that I think. So I usually leave it on this first animation. It's helpful just to see which beat I'm on. And then up here, you can change what the beat unit is. The meter, so they have common ones on here, less common ones here, or you can just write your own in. Then you can choose, let's get rid of that. Then you can choose the subdivision that you hear. There's so many different options, which is why this app is paid for. And I'm so glad that this app is a one-time purchase and not a subscription. I really do not like subscription apps. I will avoid subscription apps as much as I can. It's so annoying to me. There are also a couple presets in different time signatures. And it usually just starts on 4/4 because I mean, that's the most common, it's literally common time. So if you want, you can change the presets to things that you maybe use more often. Here you can do some interesting stuff and you can also loop those changes that you make. This button will let you use a drone. This one shows you some other advanced options that you have, and this one is that voice count in again. Finally, I found it. The other week I was using a metronome in lessons. I accidentally bumped this button and I had no idea which button it was to turn it off. That's one thing about this app. There is a little bit of a learning curve. I know it looks very techy, kind of just, you know, lots of numbers and lots of words and not so much like really pretty things or like beautiful interface. It's very kind of technical. Just here's what you need, use it. So it did take me a little while to find these things. You can also turn on some visuals. So this is visual flash beats. So it shows you every single beat. The first beat is a little bit different, but it stays the same if you turn that accent off. You can also have it just show bars. So here's a new measure, here's a new measure, like that. I usually just keep this off. If I'm practicing with a metronome, I don't really look at it so much. I just use it orally. So again, you have the same features, the different sounds and all that. And here you can choose if you're doing like a multi-measure thing where it changes time signatures, you can do this. You can change how the conversion works between time signatures. Next up, we have preferences, and now you can see my whole screen because I'm just showing you more things. So if you tap the Preferences tab, it brings up more settings. This Tonal Energy user guide is really, really helpful if you have any questions about different icons or different things within the app. I used it a lot in the last week or two to really, really get to know this app. And then you can change just more of the settings. Some of these we had in other places of the app, but here it is kind of all in one. So one of the nice things about this desktop app that is exclusive to it is you can right click on a tab and detach it so that you can have multiple windows open. Let's put the metronome on there also. Oh, okay, there we go. So if you want all three of these things open, you totally can, so that you can have a really, really in-depth practice session with all of the different tools that you need. I think that's a big draw of this desktop app, other than, you know, maybe if your phone distracts you a lot when you practice, you could put this on a laptop and maybe there are less distractions on there. Maybe there are more, I don't know. Everybody's different, but it's at least another place that you can put this. When I bought this app for the desktop, it gave me kind of a license, and you can download this onto multiple different devices so that you don't have to purchase it separately for each one, which is nice too. If you have like a desktop computer and a laptop and another laptop that you carry around or something, you know, you can put it on all of those places without paying for it multiple times. We also have recording functions. So you just press this button and it starts recording right away. And now you can listen back to it. And you can access those recordings by clicking on the folder icon. Find those, you can trim them and do a little bit of editing, just play them, a couple different things like that. If you want to change your microphone, go to the sound tab up here. It might be different for Windows. I'm on a Mac, probably obviously. So you can set up audio device settings, whatever your input is, whatever your output is. I'm surprised that, let's test this. It's coming out of my computer anyway. My computer is, well, the monitor has the speakers. It should be S27B80T. I don't know why I can't change it, but it's playing out of the right place. So at least we've got that. And you can change your microphone to whatever you would prefer it to be. You can also change the sample rate and the buffer size for just more in-depth recording options. So those sound options give you a nicer range for recording within this app. So if this is an app that you use a lot to just record your practice, that is really, really great. If you have a USB microphone or an audio interface like I have, you can use those now rather than just your phone speakers, or doing some kind of different setup with a USB-C microphone or something. That can be a lot easier, and that's a big draw of the desktop version as well. I hope it was helpful to get an overview of Tonal Energy's new desktop app. I'm super excited to use it, especially because my computer speakers are way louder than my tablet and my phone speakers. So when I need to put a metronome on in a lesson, I can make it way louder so that my students can actually really, really fully play out and still be able to hear the metronome. I find that that's a problem often with my phone and my tablet, is when I put a metronome on, I put the volume up the whole way, and they still can't hear it when they start playing. So my computer speakers are able to get way louder, and I think that's really, really gonna help my students out in the long run. And it's fun. It sounds really good on my computer speakers, and it's a nice loud metronome, which I kind of just miss when I use my phone. It just doesn't quite get loud enough. So I think that this is going to be great for a lot of musicians, especially if you take a laptop with you a lot and you don't want to get distracted by all of the apps and other games and things on your phone. You can put it on a laptop and maybe be able to have some more focused practice. Let me know if you have any questions, or if there are any other ways that you personally use Tonal Energy. I know myself and many others would benefit from any tips that you have to share as well. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I post new musical videos every other Sunday at noon Eastern Time. Thanks for watching.